Howdy, y'all. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. First of all, I want to thank you all for helping my channel to reach 152,000 subscribers. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to put a compilation together of different videos that I took during my boots on the ground research so far this year, beginning in January of 2025. And we'll advance through some structures, some earthworks, some locations that I just looked at over the past few weeks. Now, this will be a compilation of different videos, different locations, different sites that I have not covered in any of my other videos before, but I wanted a place to share with you all of the incredible trails, the earthworks, the strongholds that are found in southern Pennsylvania and northern Maryland. Nearly all of these are protected sites, and each location that we will look at today has specific ties to the mysterious Susquehannock Indigenous People. If you are unfamiliar, the predominant indigenous group in New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Maryland, at least the locations that would become those states, we're looking at prior to European colonization of America. During that time period, the Susquehannock were said to be ruling over much of that landscape. The Susquehanna River now bears their name. A little freezing rain before it turned to snow. We're looking at maybe, probably about 15 degrees out right now here in Lancaster. The history of the Susquehannock people is a rather fascinating one, but it's also one that's full of lots of mystery, because according to the current narrative, and this is why I find it to be so fascinating, the importance that is placed on the Susquehannock people specifically before the year 1760 and then after the year 1763, essentially we never hear about the Susquehannock again. So let's get right into it, at least a little bit for those who are unfamiliar. Now, according to the mainstream narrative, the Susquehannock dominated over the landscape of New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Virginia. And this all occurred before European colonizers arrived to America. The Susquehannock ruled over the landscape that was surrounding the Susquehanna River, the river that now bears their name. Oh, you can actually see both of the bridges from here. This is absolutely beautiful. Okay. So hopefully that cleared up a little bit for you and you can see that. All right, so that is gorgeous. Actually see both bridges. Such a beautiful area. But yeah, you can also see the old railroad tracks down there. Surreal being here. But these Susquehannock were actually a lot more advanced than really many of the other indigenous groups, at least according to the earliest writings that we have from European colonists who encountered them. One in particular being the account of John Smith, which today is considered to be possibly exaggerated, makes note of the Susquehannock's large size, 6 or 7 feet tall, as well as their seemingly European features like red or auburn hair and light-colored eyes. Now, what's really important here is the inventions, what was found, what was discovered, what was created by the Susquehannock. By the year 1760, we are told a majority of the Susquehannock moved into Lancaster County, their former capital city, by the way, but land was given to them there where they formed the Susquehannock or Conestoga town. Here, in the Conestoga town. Such inventions were created as the Conestoga wagon or the covered wagon, which made conquering Western America possible. We also have the creation of the Conestoga or Lancaster repeating rifle, which is now called a Kentucky, one of the most advanced for that time period. We also have something as simple as the introduction of the cigar, called at the time a stogie or Conestoga, named after the Conestoga or Susquehannock people who introduced the European colonists to this new, if you want to call it, invention. And looking at this even further, by 1763, seemingly when the European colonists had milked the Susquehannock for everything that they could get out of them, we have this group known as the Paxton Boys, who were said to have marched on the Conestoga town in the middle of the night, decimated the Susquehannock people, and then after that, not only were the Susquehannock people considered to be extinct, but their history was all but lost. And that's why this rediscovery of the Susquehannock is so important. Not to mention the sole fact that I've lived in parts of the Susquehanna Valley for my entire life, and throughout my schooling, not once did I ever hear the name Susquehanna. Not once was I ever taught the history of the Susquehanna River or the indigenous people that lived around the river. Not once was I told about the vast history of the Susquehanna, creating these different sites, earthworks, agricultural locations throughout Lancaster. And today, Lancaster has some of the most rich soil in all of America. This being associated to the hundreds of years of the Susquehannock working the land. This is all history that was never presented to us in the mainstream. So essentially that is why I am making these videos, because I find this topic to be really important. The further I dig into the history of the area that I am from, the more and more references I find to the Susquehanna. Things that are never brought up in the mainstream, but they are there right below the surface.
I was here to find Kilgore Falls, but I guess I'm kind of like 5 miles out of the way, but I had no idea about like the king and queen seat, so I just went up there and saw that, and that was awesome.
Okay.
Kilgore Falls, that wasn't where we went before, was it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Apparently it's like the second biggest walk.
Nearly every protected site that I've come across that's related to an indigenous group in this area is related to the Susquehanna. We also have history tied to the Susquehanna that goes back at least 500 years. This is one of the most important indigenous groups in all of America because they also have ties to other groups in the Mississippi River Valley, including the Mound Builders, as well as groups that made their way into Pennsylvania and further north. These are all seemingly interconnected, and I am looking to peel back the veil to show you at least a little bit of what the true history might hold. We're on top of the mountain in Susquehanna State Park. And little did I know that if I took the right trails, I would come to this vast opening on top of the mountainside. I mean, we're probably at an elevation of 600, 700 feet. And this is just here, just a wide open field. And I can only imagine that this could have been where the Susquehannock homes used to be, their fortifications, their agriculture. Their domesticated animals, things like that. I mean, this is a perfect location, secluded, and it's almost hard to tell, but we're surrounded by dense forest on every single side here. I mean, I hiked for about 3 miles to get to here, all uphill. And then you just come to this wide open land. It's almost hard to imagine. Like, I would have never known or predicted that this would have been up here. And here's the other thing I wanted to show you. Look at this. Just a silo out here. They literally must have turned the Susquehannock farmlands into their own farmlands out here. You can see, look, rusted old farm equipment. And there's also the foundations. Right there you can see the front steps. The foundations of a building that was here. Most likely, I assume it was the house, but maybe not. But yeah, you can see literal ancient old stone foundations. But you also have what would have been old, I guess, electrical hookups there that you can see. It's all very interesting. Quite literally built into the stone, like massive stone. It makes you wonder, what came first, all of this stonework, or if they chose this location because of the stonework, because of the foundations that had already been set here by the Susquehannock. I don't know, it's just a little food for thought, but you can see, look at this epic stonework. I mean, this is really, really interesting. Don't have an age for you on this or anything like that. I really did not expect to see this in my trek through the forest.
So given this and then the red barn over here, I mean, at one point they both had electric power, so they are very, very old. You can see, maybe you can see through the trees here, the foundations of this barn. Same thing, just stacked stones, you know, really old world in nature. But they must have been in functionality, or functioning, sorry. They must have been functioning at least in the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, because we have, I mean, somewhat modern electrical systems and outlets and stuff, but this must have been abandoned a while ago. And again, all this was just built on the path, you know, on this mountainside that was once a stronghold for the Susquehannock. So it just makes you wonder. At least for me, it really makes me wonder. Very beautiful.